Hey guys, it's Rod with Civil Advantage Firearms Training here. Another Ask Civil Advantage. Now this one isn't really a question that I get asked often. It's just something I want to point out from the Canadian Firearms Safety course and from me as a gun owner, as a civilian gun owner in Canada. I think it's really important. So one of my favorite sections, if not my favorite section in the whole Canadian Firearms Safety course, is the social responsibility section. And the reason why it's my favorite is I'm not going to get up on the soapbox. I don't even have one. But just hear me out on this. I'm really proud of Canadians and the level of social responsibility that we show with our firearms. We're not every time a trash can is knocked over, we're not running out there with our shotgun, we're not pointing guns at people. That stuff almost never happens. And when it does happen, it's usually criminal activity anyway, aside from the actual firearm part of it, right? It's got to do with drugs and gangs and all the rest of that stuff, right? So in the spirit of our social responsibility, Section 8 in the Canadian Firearms Safety course has a very interesting section in it, and that's on page 223, oddly enough, one of my favorite numbers. And this is point number 2, if you guys want to follow along in your books. Explain firearm safety to all family members. And that's something that doesn't immediately pop out at you as something that, you're like, okay, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Explain firearm safety to everybody. But let me put it to you this way. When, as you guys probably already know the story, I never even seen a gun in my life till I was in my mid-30s. I was doing national sales and I was working with the U.S. military, which is the Marine Corps. And a Marine Corps major was the first guy to show me what a real pistol looked like and taught me how to shoot a pistol, and I immediately became a firearm fanatic. Then when I came home from that business trip, I had a great idea. I sat down with my wife and I said, I got a great idea. Let's get a handgun. Let's get a semi-auto pistol. So as you can imagine, both of us not being really gun people, that didn't go over well. But remember, I'm in sales. And I closed that deal. And now, I did get the deal closed, but there were some conditions. And one of the conditions was we can never tell our kids that we have guns in the house. And that seemed to make sense to me. I went out and I got a PAL, and I took the 2-day safety course like everybody else, and I got my PAL, and I don't remember even seeing that section. So the instructor really didn't draw a lot of attention to it. I actually go out of my way in the class to draw attention to that. And here's why. So right now it's very fashionable to say, oh, we don't even let our kids have like Nerf guns because we don't want our kids playing with guns and wanting guns and having anything to do with guns because guns are bad. We don't even let our kids have squirt guns. That's how, pacifist we are and because guns are bad for society. All the rest of that stuff, that's very fashionable, and I don't know why. But it's very wrong, and it's counterintuitive, and here's the counterintuitive part. If I had a 6-year-old walk into the room right now and I handed them a squirt gun, what would they do? Instantly, they'd put their finger right on the trigger, they'd point that thing at the first human being they saw, and they pull the trigger. So why would it be any different when they get a hold of something as cool as a real gun? That's how these accidents happen, right? They get a hold of a real gun. They're like, this thing's awesome. It's just like the real thing. They point at little Jimmy, boom, it goes off, and now there's this family tragedy. So now, how often does that happen? Really not that often. Going back to what I said about Canadians, they're great. You know how many accidents, true firearm accidents we have that result in death a year? 20 on average. 20 in a nation of 33 million people. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of us as a culture too, because it's cultural. But the best thing you can do for our society is we can even reduce that to 0. You know how? When you get home from the PAL and you're waiting for you get your PAL and you get a gun, unload your guns, lock up all your ammunition, do an action, look, touch, check the board for obstructions. Physically impossible for that gun to ever go off because it is truly unloaded. And run your own little firearm safety course. Just teach people about controlling the muzzle direction. Because even if that gun were to go off, if the muzzle's in a safe direction, or at least in the safest available direction, nobody's going to be hurt or killed. Teach them to keep their finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard until they've made the conscious decision to shoot. And for them, that'll be never. Teach them how to run the action. Do a look, touch, check the board for obstructions. Stuff like that. Those are great skills. Now, you don't have to be a gun guy to get firearm handling skills. Firearm handling skills are life skills. So share the wealth. And if your neighbors or family or whatever, maybe they're anti-gun, but talk to them. Just say, yeah, I know that you're not into guns. I'm not trying to get you into guns. But I want to give you, because I care about you, I want to give you these skills because they're life skills. So come over, we'll do the little firearms handling thing. It'll take about 45 minutes for me to run through all these guns. It'll be awesome. You might even have fun, I don't know. But at least they know how to do it, and get the young kids in, teach them how to handle guns. And one thing I will add is that when you take a child and you let them handle a real gun, of course that's safe and there's no ammunition around, they all of a sudden, that romanticism, that oh yeah, I saw Bruce Willis shooting this in this movie, or I saw, Jamie Foxx in The Kingdom and he was blasting this, and he had an AK-47, that starts to disappear. They get an idea of what this is, a real device, and it is truly dangerous, but it can be controlled, just like a vehicle can be controlled, just like a bow can be controlled, just like any of these dangerous devices can be controlled by controlling the muzzle direction, making sure it's not loaded, keeping your finger off the trigger. So pass that on, and you know what? They'll never point that firearm at another human being. Almost guaranteed. Not a money-back guarantee. No money's changed hands in the making of this video, but give that some thought. It's really, really something good to think about and something to implement in your little closed circle. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. If you've got some comments, please put them below. You can find us on the web at www.civiladvantage.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.